what's better to do. And I'ma never give a fuck, cause I'm better than you.
Hola. This is your boy Tico Tren. SYSBM. I'm gonna talk about my unbiased thoughts on Twitch and YouTube for all intents and purposes, and the benefits and the pros and cons, the benefits and everything like that for all intents and purposes on both platforms. If you're going to make money, this is basically about if you're going to make money. Don't get too crazy about it. This is all about whatever MGTOW to win. This is basically if you want to make money off the platforms for all intents and purposes. If you want to grow your brand and make yourself a bigger brand for all intents and purposes. My thoughts on the whole entire exclusivity deals is, unless it's like multiple millions, like, and I mean like multiple millions, like, you know, upwards of like 20 million or more. Unless it's 20 million or more, don't sign with somebody exclusively. Because at the end of the day, you could quite possibly make more if you stream on both platforms than you would if you went exclusive with one particular platform for all intents and purposes. That's if you use both platforms for all intents and purposes. The upsides to YouTube versus Twitch is, if you have a YouTube actually pays out more for all intents and purposes than Twitch does. We'll just say if you have the same amount of subs on both platforms, we'll just say that. We'll just use that as an example. If you have the same amount of subs on both platforms, YouTube pays out more for all intents and purposes. Like I said, unless it's like an exclusivity deal, then that's a whole nother story. But usually YouTube pays out more with the same amount of subs for all intents and purposes. The features are pretty similar on both platforms as far as like how you get your money and shit like that. You got tips over on Twitter, but usually how it works is like, basically it's pretty even on like the features, besides the fact that I think Twitter gets tips, whereas like YouTube you can pretty much use like various other ways to get money for all intents and purposes, but tips actually go directly to you. Another good example is if you actually support the actual channel on YouTube, which kind of sort of falls under the tip category. If you actually, you know, literally support the channel with the one option, the money goes pretty much directly to the mostly to the person who's actually making a channel for all intents and purposes. Which one is easier to actually maintain? Twitch is actually much easier to actually maintain, for the fact that there's really no editing unless you want to get all extravagant and shit like that, like Dr. Disrespect. Like, outside of that, there's really nothing that goes into this stuff for all intents and purposes. You just stream on, like, here's a good example, because I always hear the argument that you know these YouTubers, they just, you know, get their money and they just cash out, this, that, and the other. Here's the thing. Twitch is a gaming platform. It's not meant to be any harder than you're already making it. It's a gaming platform. So therefore, if you're having a hard time making money on Twitch, that's your problem for all intents and purposes. Because at the end of the day, it's one of those things where, like, you're going to run into problems, yes. But the sad part about that is, if you're running into problems, it's not anybody else's fault but your own fault for all intents and purposes. And this is coming from somebody who streams on both platforms. And you know, for all intents and purposes, and you know, I actually enjoy streaming on both platforms, and I enjoy not having an exclusivity for the fact that I can actually make more money. And the sad part about that is, if I had exclusivity, then I would have to drop what I'm doing on YouTube to basically do something else, unless I start a whole nother brand of myself to basically, you know, be able to stream on YouTube for all intents and purposes. But then for some odd reason, if I did an exclusivity deal, I would be seen as, you know, cheating my exclusivity deal, which really makes no fucking sense to me. So why be exclusive when I can actually make money doing other things? The sad part about that is that exclusivity deal, depending on what you sign, can actually screw you out of doing other shit on YouTube. Like, especially if you're like me, you got multiple channels on YouTube. and you're not just gaming, you're not just doing this, you're not just doing certain things, you're not just a niche person, you you can get screwed out of a lot of money for all intents and purposes, which really sucks. That's the only thing I have against signing a an exclusivity deal for all intents and purposes, because it doesn't really matter what you do, they can always find a reason to not want to pay you. And then that's a lot of money that you've actually lost not really uploading on the other platform for all intents and purposes, if you want to look at it like that. Um and it is what it is, and it sucks. But like that's typically one of those things where like it's like it's like a legal gray area for all intents and purposes when it comes to streaming on both. If you have exclusivity deal, and the sad part about that, you don't even necessarily have to be streaming games on YouTube. If you sign an exclusivity deal, you're pretty much locked in. You can't really stream very much anything because it's almost like they own your brand for all intents and purposes. So if you even remotely make up a new brand, that can actually go against your money on a certain platform, either or, which really sucks. Um, that's pretty much why I don't really believe in Slavic. That's one of the many reasons why I don't really believe in doing exclusivity deals, because you basically sign yourself. It'd be like basically like a record contract. You basically sign yourself over, your name, your everything over to that company for X amount of time. And the minute you breach it, you really can't use it. Or the minute if they drop you, you can use it. But if you breach it, then like they pretty much own it. And it's like you got to pay them or something like that. And I ain't got time for that shit. I own my own name, and that's it. Another thing about another thing that's actually really good on Twitch is the money is much more easier on Twitch, for the reasoning that you really don't got to do much but play video games for all intents and purposes, unless you're like Hassan Piker, when you complain about like YouTubers having it easy, when in fact you actually got it way more easier than YouTubers, because you're not editing shit. You're just sitting there you're trying to be there less. You're trying to basically do a less chat on a platform like Twitch, when you can actually do that on YouTube and get more of your money back for all intents and purposes. That's the cold hard truth. And the sad part about that, people who complain that people on YouTube have it easier are people who actually made their lives harder in the first damn place. These are typically those people who do that. When you complain about when you complain about it being easier on YouTube, and you cashing out on YouTube and this, that, and the other for only doing X amount of time on a video, you're basically the only reason why that's actually a thing is because you're the one who set it up in that thing. It's basically like people that do that shit are basically people who will do something blatantly and not want to take responsibility for their own actions type thing. So typically people who complain about people on YouTube making money and claiming about how easy it is are people who literally set themselves up for their own failure. That's typically how that works. It's sad, but it's so true. The same thing goes for, vice versa. You set yourself up for failure. The pros and cons to now the pros and cons the pros I mean the cons to both platforms now is you can't swear. Well, there's an asterisk with that. You can't swear unless you're a woman or a girl on Twitch or YouTube. Then you pretty much can get away with any fucking thing you want for all intents and purposes if you're a female. Because like they say, the future is female, and it's pretty much true when it comes to both of those platforms. You can pretty much get away with murder on both streams if you're a girl. Um, it's easier for a female to actually get more views than a male on both platforms. That's just facts. There ain't no ifs, ands, buts about it. There ain't no way around it. There ain't no way to argue it. My one channel alone, my one video game channel alone on my on Twitch proves that point alone. And if you want to get technical, my travel channel, my video travel channel proves that quite often too, because the star focus of my travel channel is my daughters and the Cartel Princess and people like that for all intents and purposes on YouTube, and they get more views than anything. The irony to it is more men tune in to see them than they actually tune in to actually look at the different destinations that we're going. It's pretty much what it is. It's sad, but it's sick and it's sad for all intents and purposes. And then you have Laszlo, who has this crazy following of women on the travel channel and on Twitch also. The sad part about that, you can usually tell who's streaming based on the number of people in the actual stream, and the call to conversation is actually going in a stream. What's up, Sigma? Basically, you can tell the difference if it's my daughters or if it's Laszlo for all intents and purposes. Because if it's Laszlo, there's a shit ton of women, grown ass women in the stream seeing what Laszlo's playing for all intents and purposes. And it's like the craziest thing in the whole entire world. It is the craziest fucking thing in the whole entire world to watch women in a stream with, with a little child. It's like, really, dude, and you want to blame men for being this way. Right. That makes a lot of sense. And the sad part about that is the women, it's like Laszlo's just so cool and calm and collective. And it's like the cutest thing in the world. And he's always like on point when it comes to it. And it's like one of those things where it's like the women are like, oh, he's so cute, and this, that, and the other, and he's just sexy, and this, that, and the other. And the comments that Laszlo get are like just crazy. And Laszlo just be hamming it up as a little kid too. But and the sad part about that, he's 6. Like, think about that. He's 6 and he's hamming it up to all these grown ass women. And it makes for a very funny thing. Because he is a little handsome, attractive little boy, and I will give him that. But like, I'm not going to tell him that to his face because I don't want him getting a big ass hit. Because that's the type of dad I am. You got to earn this shit, child. You got to earn this shit. But my daughters have a nice male following, simp following for all intents and purposes on my video game channel and on the travel channel too. They have a nice simp following for all intents and purposes when we're all traveling places and going places for all intents and purposes, and the Cartel Princess does too. So when video games are actually being played, it's funny how you can tell who's actually on. Like, I don't even have to necessarily be in the comment section. I could just look at the numbers and tell who's actually on, who's streaming on my channel or not for like, as far as like video games is concerned. It's usually like if the numbers are like high as hell, if they look at like some Twitch numbers, I know it's either the Cartel Princess or my daughters for all intents and purposes. Usually it's my daughters for all intents and purposes. But the Cartel Princess does ring in numbers whenever she does play because she very rarely plays video games. But when she plays the fuck out of some video games. Like, she's like very competitive. She's like ridiculously competitive. So typically what happens with that is I can tell who's actually playing based on the numbers. And the thing about it, the only way I can tell the difference between if it's a Laszlo playing or or the Cartel Princess playing is if I go look at the comment section and there's women in the comment section, I can usually tell it's Laszlo playing versus the Cartel Princess playing, because Laszlo and Cartel Princess usually put up the same numbers. Yeah, for the most part, yeah. My son knows when he sees trash for all intents and purposes. Yeah, he knows they belong to the streets for all intents and purposes. So, but yeah. And the funny thing about that is both platforms are very lovely to play on. However, I will say this: YouTube actually gives you a bigger chunk of the profit than Twitch does. I will say that unequivocally. YouTube gives you a bigger chunk than what Twitch does. And it's just true. It's just true and it's factual. Both platforms are very lovely if you want to make money hand over fist. I mean, well, if you really want to build a brand and, that's what you want to do, both platforms are very lovely to actually be on for all intents and purposes. I will say that. I will say that you have to grind a little bit more unless you're a woman on Twitch, for all intents and purposes. And like, especially if you're not going to be one of them people like DSP, you're not going to be sitting there begging for money and shit like that. Or, trying to make people, or you're not one of the Twitch stars trying to guilt people into like giving you money. I look at it like this: your product, your finished product, basically works for itself. And don't get me wrong, like when I play, you can usually tell when I'm playing because I'm the most quietest person out of the whole entire person in the household because I'm all about this damn game and fuck everything else going on around me. I will like comment in my comment section, like I will, what's up everybody? Hi this person, hi this person, hi this person. I will say hi to everybody in my comment section by typing in hi. But usually I'm pretty quiet and I'm usually just trying to go in on my fucking game because I'm trying to I'm in the zone basically. I do see my comment section, but I'm usually in the zone and that's all I focus on is, smashing some motherfuckers ass, smashing some motherfuckers in this game. It's typically how it works. But usually I don't usually get as many views as the rest of the people in the household do. But I get a decent amount of views for all intents and purposes when I'm playing because people are like, "Oh shit, that was brutal. Oh my god, he's a savage in that game. He's a beast on him." You got people in the comment section just pumping up your ego and shit like that, and that's fun. It's really fun when people in your comment on Twitch pumps up your ego. And the sad part about that, I don't get as much views as my children and the Cartel Princess, but I do get a decent amount of views where I could say like, yeah, like I'm just there to play the game for all intents and purposes, and comment to my comments and comment to my subscribers. Like instead of like saying hi, I'll actually comment, hi such and such, hi this person, hi them, kind of like what I do on YouTube, where I take if somebody gets a long ass name like Win, I'll say hi Win, hi Sigma, hi this person, hi Pepe, hi this person, and typically that's how I pretty much communicate with a lot of those people in the comment section as they drop in. And the sad part about that is, despite the fact that I don't get the same viewing, the channel still makes money. And the thing that makes Twitch so fucking easy is if you do it right, you don't really have to worry about anything else. And the sad part about that, because my family are a bunch of gamers, and the Cartel Princess's friend usually drops in on the channel too to play games too. So that helps a lot when the Cartel Princess's friend is playing games too. But the sad part about that, the thing that makes it so funny is it's very easy to actually get money on Twitch, for the fact that it's not hard in the least bit. Because I look at it like this: if you're a gamer and you're a hardcore gamer, you don't really give a fuck about any of the shit going on around you, or how many people are in the chats, or how many people are not doing what they're doing, or how many people are not donating to you. Because the sad part about that, my thing with that is, if you have to sit there and beg, obviously you suck at what you do. That's typically how I think about it. If you have to beg for chats or beg for donations or subs, or anything like that, you pretty much suck at what you do, for all intents and purposes. Because I don't have to beg for anything. And the sad part about that is, that channel usually streams for like a good anywhere between 8 to 12 hours on my Twitch channel. So like there's streaming always going on for 8 to 12 hours on my Twitch channel. And the sad part about that is usually sometimes I'll stream 8, but most times I'll stream 10 hours. My daughters will stream 12 hours. The Cartel Princess will stream for about 5 hours. Lazo would stream for, like, if you let him. Lazo would stream all fucking night if you let him. Lazo would go 24 hours of streaming. Like, and it's just the craziest thing in the fucking world when you actually see it done. And like my daughter Talia would stream for like hours on end too. Like I think Talia's shortest stream was probably 15 hours was her shortest stream, and she made enough. She made money basically, and typically it's one of those things where like whoever's streaming gets the money. So it's one of those things where like you basically the channel gets paid, and I basically pay that person who streamed for all intents and purposes. So it's typically how it works. So 9 times out of 10, there's going to be a week where my daughters get more money than everybody else, and there's going to be a week where Lazo gets more money than my daughters, and there's going to be a week where Lazo gets more money than everybody for all intents and purposes, depending on which way the wind's blowing. And it's just, and it is what it is. And it's like one of those things where it's like, well, I got to pay for the upkeep of this channel just so I can actually make shit happen and make shit work. And because like it's not really hard to pay for the upkeep of the channel, for the fact that we pretty much got all the equipment there. But if we want to play extra games, then that falls into the upkeep of the actual channel for all intents and purposes. So now I got to actually put aside money to play new games that, one of my children want to play, or, somebody in the comment section says, try this game. This game is all that in a bag of chips. So we got to play games and stuff like that. So, or if I got to get a new console or something like that, the money goes towards a console, and it goes towards the games for that console for all intents and purposes. And that's typically how we do it. Or like another good example of that is like, I do a lot of computer gaming on there when I'm playing. So, it's one of those things where like, try this game on Steam. It's really good game on Steam. So I'll spend the money that I actually make on Twitch onto the Steam shit. And the sad part about that is it's very lucrative. It's like very lucrative either way on both platforms. It's all about how you do it and how you present yourself. Because the minute you can complain about somebody else making more money to you, obviously you're branding yourself wrong for all intents and purposes. Is the take home from this for all intents and purposes. Because don't get me wrong, there are some unfair shit going on. Like a good example of that is if I swear, I'll get like a timeout. I'll basically get like, a 24-hour suspension or ban or on Twitch or something like that for all intents and purposes. If my daughter swears, oh my God, Talia is a trip when it comes to that shit. This little punk, and I keep telling her, look, we're running a channel here. You can't be swearing like this. She will swear. Nobody will say a damn thing. Twitch won't even bat a fucking eye, and they'll keep it moving. Like, think about that shit. Like, she'll swear like it's going out of fucking style on Twitch, and it's like, oh, that's so cute. Okay, moving right along. Like she literally swears like a drunken sailor on Twitch. Especially if she's taking an L on Twitch. She's oh man, you should hear the fucking mouth out of this little child. Oh my god. But the sad part about that, Twitch just lets it ride. If I say one thing, hell, I could be on stream and I could be actually, you could be showing my face and I could say, oh nigga, what? And I'll get banned. Like, and that's typically how it works. Like, nigga, come on. And the sad part about that, I'll get banned for Twitch for 24 hours. And the sad part about that, my daughter can say that shit and it'd be perfectly fine. Like, you know, or any of my daughters can say that shit and be perfectly fine. Or like Lazo doesn't really swear too often. I mean, he only swore one time. But the sad part about that is he never got banned. Like, think about that shit. He never got banned. And the sad part about that, it's the same fucking channel. So, you know, it's one of those things where like they're very picky on what they do and what they want to do and who they want to ban for all intents and purposes, because like I don't swear as much as I do on YouTube on Twitch. And like I very rarely swear when I'm in a video game. Or I'll say my favorite line, son of a mother, let's go, is like my favorite line to say instead of saying son of a bitch. It's like I'll say son of a mother, let's go. And the sad part about that is even still like it's one of those things where it's like it all depends on what's going on and you know who's on the stream. Because I will say in a heartbeat that there is some bias on Twitch, like there is some bias on YouTube for all intents and purposes. If you're a female, you're more likely to get a hit on both platforms than if you are a male. It is what it is. Don't get me wrong, there are some men at the top of those platforms, but at the end of the day, the whole entire page revolves around Twitch thoughts. It is what it is. And the sad part about that is the only time my streams on Twitch actually go to the front page is if it's Cartel Princess and her friend or my daughters. It's the only time my Twitch channel actually goes to the front page where all the Twitch thoughts are. Is usually if the Cartel Princess is on there, or if my daughters are on there for all intents and purposes playing games. And it is what it is. Like Lazo very rarely gets on the front page, but when he does, it's like one of them things like we're both amazed. We're looking at each other like, holy shit. Like, you know, it's one of those things like, holy shit, Lazo made it on the front page. And it's typically what it is. But they're both platforms are very fun. And I would say when it comes down to it, when you're picking a platform, I would say do both platforms for all intents and purposes, because it gives you a better chance to actually build your audience and build your brand on both platforms for all intents and purposes, especially YouTube and or Twitch. And I was going to say, if you're going to do something, stick with it and always invest in your channels for all intents and purposes if you're going to do it. And the sad part about that is a lot of people they'll just think like there's a lot of female Twitch streamers that'll just go, you know, brain dead on the shit. And like, they'll basically say, this is how you make money. No, you're just making money off of who you are in your body. And every now and again, the chance that you'll stand up and somebody will see your butt for all intents and purposes is typically how that works. And the sad part about that is true. Like, it's technically true. And the sad part about that is when people do that and they tell you how to make money on Twitch, like they're basically telling you from their point of view how to make money on Twitch, especially if they're a woman. That's like taking advice. That's like taking dating advice from a person not in a relationship for all intents and purposes. If you're going to listen to a Twitch thought tell you how to make money, especially if they're a Twitch thought, if you're going to listen to a Twitch thought tell you how to make money on Twitch, that's like taking advice from a single person. That's like taking dating advice from a single person for all intents and purposes is what I mean by that. So never listen to them about how to make money on Twitch. If you're going to listen to anybody, I would say listen to, you know, probably the top 3 people on Twitch. The top 3 people on Twitch on how to make money on Twitch for all intents and purposes. Never listen to anybody that's a female that's pretty much putting herself out there, both body and, you know, intimately for all intents and purposes. So yeah, no, don't do that. Unless you're a female, that's the only way. Unless you're a female, that's the only way I would take advice from a Twitch thought. If you're a male, don't take advice from a Twitch thought. That's like I said, basically getting dating advice from a person not in a relationship. Like, don't do it. Just don't do it. But outside of that, both platforms are very lovely. Both platforms, you have the opportunity to make a lot of money. Both platforms are very lucrative if you actually do it right and do it big for all intents and purposes. But the sad part about that is if you're a guy, you have to invest. Or if you're a family man, it's better to, I mean, I wouldn't really suggest it, but like if you're a family man, you got people who play games in your family, do it and do it big for all intents and purposes, because it makes it a much more family affair type thing for all intents and purposes, and it makes for like a very good dynamic, because like you're interacting with one child or you interact with another child depending on what the game is, depending on who likes what and what likes who. And the funny thing about that is every now and again on Twitch we'll have like dual streams where like we'll have like you'll have Laszlo up on one side and you'll have Talia up on another side, and they're both playing different games on Twitch, and typically we basically pick based on who got the most viewers, and we basically go with that person for all intents and purposes on a side by side screen. But usually, like we'll switch out between the screens to see who's doing what and what's doing who. It's typically how that works. But yeah, like both platforms are very nice. I would say, to be honest with you, YouTube is much harder to actually do, for the fact, especially if you're doing a lot of editing. If you're doing a lot of editing, YouTube is hard. I will say that off the bat, because at the end of the day, my anime channel, despite the fact that it's like the easiest thing, it's probably the easiest thing I will ever edit on YouTube, and like my children's channel also, where it has children's programming, or both of those are easy to edit, but it's much harder than doing Twitch for all intents and purposes. Like both those, because like you got to like actually time the words and the mouth moving right. You got to time the whole entire movement of the character right. You got to do a lot of this shit for all intents and purposes right. And the neat thing about it is that's for the anime. When it comes to the actual children's channel, some of the things on the children's channel, you got to time it right with the actual mouth moving, and some of the stuff is like pretty much filmed live for all intents and purposes. So you get that thing where like it's like all you got to do is just upload it. Whereas like other things, it's like then you got to edit some stuff to make sure nobody fucked up and shit like that for all intents and purposes. And you got to basically do the typical stuff, go through your checks and balances to make sure nothing's going out that's crazy for all intents and purposes for children. Because I'm all about putting out wholesome stuff for children. I'm not trying to get extra. I'm not trying to have strippers at school type stuff. I'm basically trying to put out educational stuff for children. And I'm not fitting to have a woman half dressed sliding down a pole, or have a woman half dressed on a child's programming, because that don't make sense to me. And I'm not finna sexualize children, because that's just wrong. It's typically how that works. Matter of fact, a good example of a person's child who actually watches my channel, my children's channel, is True Sherm's son. Apparently, he loves my children's channel. I don't know why, but thank you very much. I really thank you. Thank you very much. It's in Spanish. It's mainly Spanish for all intents and purposes, but he loves my children. He loves my children's programming channel, and it's one of those things where like I wanted to give back to the community. And the sad part about that, giving back to the community actually made me money. So therefore, it actually is really fun for the fact that I'm doing something I love to do, and I'm giving back to my community, the Latin community, and it's fun for all intents and purposes. And it is what it is. So I would say that editing, when you put in the time for editing and the whole entire video thing and stuff like that, it's much harder to do the editing and do videos on YouTube than it would be if you were just to stream straight out on Twitch for all intents and purposes. Unless I go extravagant like Dr. Disrespect, it's pretty much what it is. Like, not too many people on Twitch actually go extravagant. Well, he's no longer on Twitch, but not too many people on Twitch go as extravagant as Dr. Disrespect. And he's like one of the most creative people on Twitch. And if I'm going to say it's hard for somebody on Twitch, the person I'm going to look at is probably going to be Dr. Disrespect, even though he's not on Twitch no more, because he actually goes all out on the graphics and the stuff like that, and he literally does that shit on the fly. So for somebody to be able to do that shit on the fly, they actually get more respect from me than anybody that could complain about just sitting there talking in front of a camera. And it is what it is. Let's see, anything else? I'm trying to think of something else. I already talked about the biases. I talked about the don't sign an exclusivity deal unless you're making multiple tens of millions of dollars for all intents and purposes. I would say anything over 20 million, you can sign an exclusivity deal for all intents and purposes, depending on how long the contract is. Any like I would say anything over 20 million. If it's like 5 years, I would say do it. Um, if it's under 20 million, it's like 10 million and it's 5 years, don't do it. Um, Basically because you want to make money. Because at the end of the day, you could probably make just as much money, if not more money, if you stream on both platforms for all intents and purposes. The best way I can describe it to you. Um, if it's under 10 million, if it's 10 million and it's for X amount of years, you can make more money on both platforms than anything else for all intents and purposes. Um, and it is what it is. Shit, I'm trying to think of one. I'm making an English one anyway, so you're going to be fine. I'm actually still working out the kinks on the English one, so you're fine. Trust me, you'll get that link as soon as I drop it. Smart ass. But a lot of the stuff, a lot of other stuff is, yeah, basically it's. I basically covered everything when it comes to both platforms. I love both platforms dearly, and both platforms are very lucrative if you do it properly. You don't complain and you don't do stupid shit to your platform and you don't nuke yourself on your own platform. I mean, on your own channel for all intents and purposes. It's pretty much is what it is. It's easy. It's nothing to really right. I mean, it's nothing to really write home about. You can actually do it and it'd be very very easy. I would say, just put your head down and grind for all intents and purposes, and don't complain because nobody really likes a person that complain on Twitch, unless you're like a simp and you're just a bunch of women. Nobody really likes a person that complains on Twitch for all intents and purposes because it is what it is. It's all about having fun. And the sad part about that, playing video games for hours on end is not hard. It's not hard in the least bit. I could play video game hours. I could play video games for 36 hours if I wanted to, if I ain't got shit to do for the next 3 days. And it would be like brainless or mindless for all intents and purposes, and I would just be playing video games. It is what it is. So it's not hard to play video games on Twitch. However, I will say this: if you're trying to be one of them, just chatting people, then yeah, I would say it's hard for you for the fact that that's not what Twitch is set up for all intents and purposes. Don't get me wrong, there are some people over there that make it big and just chatting, but at the end of the day, it's for video games and other things like that for all intents and purposes. Like think of if you're going to be doing anything on Twitch other than video games, I would say exercising, um, you know, making little clips like quick clips and quips like TikTok type style shit. But like just chatting is not really the best way to go on Twitch for all intents and purposes. I'm going to say that without a shadow of a doubt. Just chatting is definitely not the best way to go on Twitch unless you got like a hot ass female on your panel. Then I would say yeah, definitely just chatting. Um, but typically in the future on my channel, if I do no aux shits, I'm probably going to have more women on the channel. So I'm going to stream. I'm going to stream those actual live streams straight to Twitch. Or I'm gonna stream on my channel. I'm gonna stream on the Twitch too. So one of those things is going to be like if I have a no aux shit, there's going to be women on the channel. There's going to be people on the channel that have different views. So more times than not, there's going to be women on the channel. So in that sense, they're probably going to be live. So I'm going to more likely have them. I'm going to more likely stream that to Twitch, because it'd be much easier. That's about it. Yeah, both platforms are good. There are downsides to both platforms. The cons of both platforms is the swearing, unless you're a female. If you're a female, you can get away with fucking anything for all intents and purposes on both platforms. The same thing goes for like any other discretions. If you're a female, they'll pretty much sweep it under the rug for you for all intents and purposes. I'm trying to think of anything else. If you're a male, like just basically try your best to keep your nose clean on both platforms. The only reason why I get away with it on this channel is because I don't really plan on this channel being like big as hell. So for the fact that me and both Susan Wojcicki both don't really see this channel being big or being well known, I typically can do any fucking thing I want up until I hit a certain amount of subscribers. Like I said, I'm going to be acting a fool like this up until I hit a certain amount of subscribers. So up until then, I'm just going to be Tico Tren, aka or it's going to be Tico Tren from here on out, or Internal Sadist from here on out for all intents and purposes, because I don't really believe that I should have to capitulate to anything unless I have a bigger audience and I have to actually start acting like a professional for all intents and purposes. Until then, it's going to be this way for the rest of the time. Now, on my other channels, I'm very professional. Very fucking professional. This channel is basically like a nice venting thing where I can let off all my frustration from all my other shit that I got going on in my life for all intents and purposes, while all the other channels I got going on, plus the stupid shit that people say to me. I can pretty much vent it out on this channel because it has below a certain amount of subscribers where like YouTube goes, no, 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 don't do that. No, no, no. So I ain't got to worry about it on this channel for that reason because I have a low amount of subscribers. Until then, I can actually get away with a lot of the shit that I can actually get away with. If you have a lot more subscribers, you can't get away with the shit like you would if you're a smaller channel for all intents and purposes. It is what it is. Outside of that, if you have any questions, I'll be happy to do a part 2 to this. Both platforms are very lovely if you want to make money or just have fun. Either way, it depends on what your mindset is on both platforms. You just got to grind. That's all it is. You just got to grind for all intents and purposes. Just grind, advertise yourself and grind. Advertise yourself and grind. That's all it really is for all intents and purposes. Just advertise yourself and grind. Every now and again, get somebody to plug you on a different channel for all intents and purposes and keep it moving. That's all you got to do. If you want to make money on both platforms, advertise your channel, get somebody to plug you on their channel that got more subs and shit like that with similar content or similar views, and keep it moving. It's like that's all you really got to do. That's really all you have to do. But there's people that don't do that and they get mad at other people for making money and they can't make money. And that's typically one of those things where it's like you pretty much shot yourself in the foot by doing what you did. You're the person that's in your way of making more money. Nobody else is in the way of making more money. It's kind of like it's basically kind of like what all these Democrats say when it comes to black people. No, it's not. It's not the government that's stopping me from making money. It's myself that's stopping me from making the money from believing your bullshit on what it's supposed to be because like at the end of the day, a lot of black people get stumped by Democrats saying that these people over here don't have your best interests at heart and they're trying to destroy you and they're trying to keep you down and they're trying to hold you down. No, that's not the case. Because if that was the case, there wouldn't be black actors, there wouldn't be black singers, there wouldn't be black anybody famous like a Don Lemon, a fucking what's his name? All those people wouldn't be famous if they believed that, the government was holding them down and shit like that. Only people actually holding you down are the Democrats emotionally and mentally by manipulating you to thinking you ain't shit, you'll never be shit, and this is how everybody views you for all intents and purposes. And that's technically what it is. You can make it in this world as a black person. The fact of the matter is do you want to make it, and do you have the will to actually make it and actually better yourself to actually do so? That's technically all it is. That goes for any minority group. If you're willing to actually believe something that somebody says about you, and you're willing to sit there, then you deserve everything you get. If you're willing to actually put in the work and better yourself, you're going to make it in this world for all intents and purposes. Don't get me wrong, you're going to take some lumps, you're going to take some hits, but at the end of the day, you're going to make it in this world. And it is what it is. So you can't really complain about anything when you actually can do it and the power is actually in your hands. So yeah, that's typically what it is, and that's typically my views on it when it comes to different things and different people and different mindsets. Like you literally got to have a mindset that you're going to make it, and you're ready to put in the work to do it. That's all it really is. So if you have the drive and you have the what's the word, the wherewithal, or no, the temperament, do it and do it big. Do whatever you want to do and do it big. That's all it really is. Just do it and do it big. But this is Tico Tren. Y'all have a blessed day. Be good. If I need to make a part 2 to this, I'll make a part 2 to this. Have a good one. Bye.